Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon to watch my live streams, and like and subscribe for more friendly weapons next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Red from Transistor, and I suppose the Transistor too. Those two are inseparable, just like the souls are inseparable from the Transistor.
Swords.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need a sword, but really just as a casting focus. Next, we need to take turns, slowing time down to plan things out and get a little more consistency. Finally, we'll get a bunch of different abilities, even if they take a second to process. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Charisma will be number 1. Red is a famous singer dating an inanimate object. Imagine Lady Gaga, but she's in love with a toaster. Dexterity next. Red doesn't wear armor. It wouldn't look cool. She also didn't have time to change this morning. She woke up like this. Legend. Strength after that, even if you're not using the sword as a sword, you still have to lug it around everywhere. Follow that up with Constitution. Surviving the process can be harrowing without a little HP. Intelligence is a bit low. Red went to school but was more into the arts program, and we'll dump Wisdom. We just don't really need it for anything. Red is a human that's really into her sword. Like, really into her sword. So for our feat, let's grab Eldritch Adept, which gives you a free invocation from Warlock. Grasp of Hadar pulls a creature 10 feet closer to you once per round when you attack it with an Eldritch Blast. We'll have Eldritch Blast at level 1. Spoiler, I suppose, but it's just something we need to get from the feat. Get it? Get the it's the get function. Bump your Charisma and Strength with your 2 free points. Take Athletics for your skill of choice, and the Entertainer background for Performance and Acrobatics proficiency. Even if you're kind of just humming now, you hum like an absolute champ. We'll kick things off as a Warlock, letting you grab 2 skills from the Warlock list, like Arcana and Investigation, letting you know exactly how many times somebody bounced that beach ball. Obviously, we're going Hexblade. It's nice that the sword that's talking to you is nice, though. I think so many times people think their pact has to be with something sinister. What if it was just a nice person who got hoovered into a great sword? Pick a weapon to become a Hex weapon, which lets you wield it with your Charisma modifier instead of your Dexterity or Strength. It can't be two-handed just yet, but we're gonna get there. To turn the damage up, Hexblade's Curse lets you pick a creature to absolutely smash, dealing extra damage to them equal to your proficiency bonus. You critically hit them on a 19 or a 20, and heal an amount equal to your Warlock level and Charisma modifier when you slay them. Of course, you can deal even more damage if you crash them with a booming blade, hitting a creature with a melee weapon attack and dealing a d8 of thunder damage to them if they move on their turn. At level 5, you can add a d8 of thunder damage to the original attack, and it keeps scaling from there. But Eldritch Blast, that's Eldritch Blast. That fires a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 force damage, and you can really modify it more with some invocations later. This is going to be a very flexible build, kind of like she is in Transistor. It's one of the secret goals I'm going for. For first level spells, Expeditious Retreat lets you dash as a bonus action for up to 10 minutes, jaunting all about as long as you keep up your concentration. We honestly don't need that many more from the first level spells, so maybe Hex? It picks a creature to take an extra d6 of necrotic damage from each of your hits, and they have disadvantage on an ability check of a certain type. We'll get more things we need later, like at the second level of Warlock, where you can grab 2 more invocations, like Repelling Blast to push a creature 10 feet away from you once per turn when you hit them with an Eldritch Blast. There isn't really a way to shoot people up for a cull in Dungeons & Dragons other than my homebrew spell, Geyser, but I don't include those in these builds. Might plug it though. Geyser, homebrew spell. Check it out. The next invocations we need come in later, so for now, just get Agonizing Blast because it's really good, letting you add your Charisma modifier to the damage of your Eldritch Blast attacks. I really liked the ping. The ping is fast. Third level Warlocks get a Pact Boon, a gift from your sword partner. What about a sword? Pact of the Blade lets you conjure a weapon to yourself. It's magical in terms of overcoming resistances, and now it can be two-handed. So choose a great sword. Your sword is pretty great after all. You can also learn second level spells like Misty Step, letting you teleport 30 feet as a bonus action for a jauntier jaunt. 4th level Warlocks get an ability score improvement. Bump your Charisma. It's everything for you. Weapons, spells, humming, absolutely everything. For this level spell, Invisibility will mask you, making you invisible for up to an hour depending on your concentration, but it ends early if you make an attack or cast a spell. Should still help you position yourself for a backstab. Unfortunately, we won't be going rogue at all here, since you can't use sneak attack with a greatsword. Advantage is the best we can do for a backstab without abandoning the Transistor, and Red would never abandon the Transistor. 5th level Warlocks warlocks can learn 3rd level spells. Vampiric Touch lets you tap enemies with a melee spell attack that deals 3d6 necrotic damage and heals you half the damage you dealt. You also get another invocation like Eldritch Smite, letting you spend a warlock spell slot to add a d8 of force damage to an attack with your packed weapon. It also knocks huge or smaller enemies prone, stunning them a little bit. Maybe not the spine of the world, but everything else. If you want, you could also grab some other invocations like Thirsting Blade to attack faster. It's your loadout after all, but I'm gonna go for Eldritch Smite. That's the one that's staying on the graphic. But if you really want to modify your spells, we have to dip over to another charisma caster, Sorcerer. I'm sorry, believe me, I want to make Red a bard. The spell list just doesn't work. And to be honest, Red's singing doesn't give her powers, she's just good at singing. If anything, the quest of Transistor for Red is to become bard again. That's a goal worth working towards. So instead, we'll choose to be a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer, which will give us some abilities that really feel like the turn system, even more than D&D just being turn-based already. With Restore Order, you can turn a creature's advantage or disadvantage on a roll into a neutral roll an amount of times per long rest equal to your proficiency bonus. Obviously, you can't have disadvantage if you just activate the turn ability for ideal positioning. For cantrips, Ray of Frost is a ranged spell attack that deals 2d8 cold damage and slows a creature's movement speed by 10 feet. Hit them with the Purge and slow their movement urge. Sword Burst forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 2d6 force damage to those that fail. If you're casting with the sword, this is how you can attack with the sword without attacking with the sword. Does that make sense? Hopefully, sort of. Green Flame Blade lets you make a melee spell attack against a creature that deals an extra 1d8 plus your charisma modifier in fire damage to the creature you hit, and does that damage to another creature within 5 feet of the first creature. I preferred to put the bounce effect on my crash. I thought it was pretty good. Message lets you whisper a message to a creature within 120 feet of you, and they can whisper back. Imagine if you could only communicate with your romantic partner using the comment section. I can't imagine a fresher hell. Chaos Bolt is a ranged spell attack that deals 2d8 plus 1d6 damage of a certain type depending on the d8s you roll. Acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, poison, psychic, or thunder damage in that order, picking one of the d8s. The reason we're grabbing it is because if you roll doubles, it bounces to another creature, something there isn't a lot of in D&D. Tasha's Caustic Brew is another thing there isn't a lot of in D&D, damage over time spells. With that, you can force a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 30-foot line, covering them in acid if they fail. Until it uses its action to wipe it off, it's going to take 2d4 acid damage. The process spots don't seem too keen on self-preservation. They're fighting you after all. I'm guessing that acid is going to stay on them for a while. Second level sorcerers get a Font of Magic. With sorcery points you can use to recover spells, or you could boil down spells into sorcery points, which is great since your warlock slots recover on short rests. So now you can take a quick break, eat some sea monster pizza, and boil those slots down. For this level spells, False Life gives you a d4 plus 4 of temporary HP. Maybe you want to take one of the additions that gives you a bit more HP. Again, flexibility is important. Third level sorcerers get meta magic options for you to augment your spells with sorcery points. Pick two based on the additions you like, but I personally will go for Quickened Spell to cast spells as a bonus action that normally take an action. It lets you really spam the ping. That's what I did. I mostly spammed the ping. Heightened Spell lets you impose disadvantage on a creature that's forced to make a saving throw against one of your spells, like the Wisdom saving throw on Enlarge Reduce. Reducing an enemy gives them disadvantage on strength checks and saves. They take a 1d4 damage penalty to their attacks with weapons, and they're one size smaller. It's something I'm sure they would like to void. Large does the opposite, so you could do it to yourself, but it's not really a red thing. Just use the void to make the enemy smaller. 4th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement. Charisma is still the only thing we need, so cap it off. Kind of stumped what we're gonna get after this. Flaming Sphere is another option for the bounce, making a 5-foot radius fireball that you can steer with your bonus action. Creatures within 5 feet of it have to make a dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 fire damage. It's a solid option for your bonus action if you're not concentrating on anything else. 5th level sorcerers can learn 3rd level spells. Lightning Bolt is great for breaching enemy defenses, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 100-foot line and dealing 8d6 lightning damage to those that fail. Just make sure you line it up right. It's using a lot of turn meter. 6th level Clockwork Souls can get a set of emergency defense with the Bastion of Law, letting you spend up to 5 sorcery points for a d8's worth of protection. You decide when to use them. I recommend right before you die, so you know you don't die. For this level spell, Fireball forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius sphere, dealing 8d6 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. Maybe Spark should be lightning damage, but fire has sparks too. We'll get something for it later. 7th level sorcerers can learn 4th level spells. Clockwork Souls specifically can learn Summon Construct. That summons a construct of metal, stone, or clay. Metal makes the most sense for the dog that helps you. The stats are in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, everything, it takes a while to explain, but it's definitely worth it to have a dog. I don't know if that's true from an optimization standpoint, I just know it's good to have a dog. 8th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement or feat. Let's just grab the tough feat for plus 2 HP every level you have and every level you get after this. Hexblade is such a great gish class because it really needs nothing. For this level spell, greater invisibility makes you invisible for a minute depending on your concentration. Unlike basic invisibility, you don't lose this when you make attack rolls or cast non-concentration spells, so that mask can stay up a little bit longer. 9th level sorcerers can learn 5th level spells. Far Step lets you teleport 60 feet as a bonus action every round for a minute, depending on your concentration. I would literally reset if I lost Jaunt. Do not take the dash from me. 10th level sorcerers get another meta magic option. Transmuted spell lets you change the type of damage of a spell that deals acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to another type of damage from the same list. I don't know what kind of damage the transistor should really be doing. Lightning and thunder seem right though, or force, but you can't change things to force. You can use Eldritch Blast though. Ping, 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 ping. For this level spell, Fly from the 3rd level gives a creature a 60-foot flying speed for up to 10 minutes. It's not one of the powers you can actively use, but you could use some processing power to scoot around town a little faster if you needed to. 11th level sorcerers can learn 6th level spells like Chain Lightning, forcing a dexterity saving throw on a creature within 150 feet of you and 3 creatures within 30 feet of them. Failing that, they take 10d8 lightning damage, half as much on a success. It's another bouncy option, but a way more deadly one. 12th level sorcerers get another ability score improvement or feat. Let's go for Skill Expert. With that, you can boost a stat like Constitution, get another skill like Perception, and expertise in a skill like Performance. Supergiant soundtracks are all bangers, and you're canonically the singer on the soundtrack. 13th level sorcerers can learn 7th level spells. Delayed Blast Fireball creates a little packet that will force a dexterity saving throw on creatures in a 20-foot radius when it detonates. Right away, it'll deal 12d6 fire damage, but if you let it load up a bit more, it will gain an additional d6 of fire damage per round while you wait. It can be tricky to land, but the packets deal a ton of damage. Definitely worth it. 14th level Clockwork sorcerers get the Trance of Order, which I think is the perfect ability for a turn. For 1 minute per long rest, enemies can't have advantage on attack rolls against you, and the minimum you can roll on an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw is a 10, followed by your modifiers. That means your minimum for all spell attacks and hex weapon attacks is 21. You will almost never miss when it's your turn. You can also use this by spending 5 sorcery points, and with 2 3rd level warlock slots per short rest, that's 6 sorcery points per short rest. So you can basically refresh this every short rest instead of on a long rest. It's so good to do that. Our capstone is the 15th level of Sorcerer for Dominate Monster, forcing a wisdom saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they're under your control for up to an hour depending on your concentration. Sorry it took us so long to get a switch ability, but making the enemy turncoat is pretty high level stuff. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you have an amazing variety of damage: force, acid, fire, lightning, cold, and the ability to just change those whenever you need to. The Trance of Order combo on a Sorlock is also amazing, making it effectively a short rest ability instead of a long rest ability for maximum consistency. Finally, the Hexblade's Curse Ping combo means that you can quicken Eldritch Blast to shoot 8 beams in a single turn, each dealing 1d10 plus 11 force damage with a minimum attack roll of 21, so you won't miss. That's 8d10 plus 88, or around 128 with median rolls. God, I love Ping. For weaknesses, you have way too many concentration spells and can only have 1 up at a time, so pick the loadout that works for you. You're also not the best at maintaining concentration, with only a +1 to your concentration saving throws, although with Trance of Order up, that's an automatic success unless you take more than 22 damage in a single hit, so never mind. Your intelligence saves are only a minimum of 10, so Feeble Mind could take away all your spells. That means you're weak to 1 spell. Sorlocks are really good, and Clockwork is kinda underrated in my opinion, fitting for a hidden gem like Transistor. Swing your boyfriend's sword around, break down the process, and save the city. Just pick the best loadout, or you could end up in the same sort of place as your boyfriend. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon to watch the live streams, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.